Trial by Fire. Hello everyone, welcome to Trial by Fire, and today I'm with Gellis, who is one of the co-creators of Fatal Core. Say hello, Gellis.
Oh.
So we thought it would be cool to sort of go through the game. Obviously, there's been quite a few significant updates. I believe I last played this 4 months ago. I was just checking your itch page out, and I think over the last 4 months, what have you had that's sort of changed over the last 4 months?
So we've actually put in most of the graphics that belong in the game. We're still working on quite a few things like combat animations, but the UI looks a lot nicer. Actually, if you're using itch.io, you should probably use fatalcoretcg.com instead, because that's a little bit more updated than the itch page currently.
Cool. So what I'll do then is I will put those. I'll obviously put your Twitter, your Discord, and obviously the TCG.com in the description for people if they want to navigate to that as well. And I know you just sort of said that this is being recorded. My time is obviously GMT, the 27th, but I believe it's also so for the 27th today and tomorrow for you guys. You're doing a bit where you guys get a bit extra cards, is that right? If they sort of come and hang out with you and play with you on Discord?
Yeah, you get a bunch of currency. All of our currency is pretty much free, so you get some kind of stipend on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you can also earn currency in game. We are completely free to play. We never try to sell any currency or cards to you. We hope to fund the game exclusively through donation and thus avoid a lot of pitfalls that traditional TCGs get into. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that more later. But the bottom line is that if you join up with us within the next couple of days, you will be able to open a lot more packs and enjoy some interesting cards to play with.
Excellent. Sounds good. So all of that will be linked for you guys in the description if you want to go check that out. Make sure you do it sooner rather than later so that you don't miss out. So obviously starting off, Gellis, if you want to sort of talk me through this. So I've obviously just logged in and I've got sort of 3 different options. So I've got offer sincere prayers to Joanne, loyalty to, is it Jado, and become prisoner 216's partner in crime. Any preference, any sort of like behind the scenes tips that you think would be good for a noob such as myself?
There's a lot of different play styles available for each lead character. So currently, Joanne's MO is to spam lots of creatures and reinforce them with a high HP board. So it's sort of a spammy kind of death by 1,000 cuts play style that she usually has. A lot of you who've played stuff like Magic or maybe Shadowverse will be familiar with the concept of Weenie decks. Jedo is probably our most well-rounded character. He can summon a lot of elemental creatures. He has very versatile spells at his disposal. He has creatures that buff themselves. He has creatures that render opposing creatures soulless. So he's just extremely versatile all around. Very interesting in strategic terms. And then Prisoner has a very controlling sort of play style, very cruel if she can get her hooks into. What Prisoner is unique in is having a mana magnet space on her board, meaning that she is far better than other characters at blocking the opponent's spells. She has a lot of hard control, and she has a lot of cards that capitalize on that by dealing heavy damage, and the trade-off is that her board has a lot of penalties and a lot less HP in general.
Okay. Cool. So I think then, just for my sort of play style, what it would probably be maybe Jedo. So a bit more well-rounded, a bit of everything. So I just click him, and now obviously I've got this massive deck in front of me with all these really lovely design cards. Have any of the designs changed since the last sort of 4 months, or are they still the same ones? They look a lot maybe higher resolution.
Updating the art and swapping a couple of things out, but in general I believe out of our initial 125 card set that we only have 5 pieces missing right now, and we started introducing a few new cards as well, so we have some that were not in the original set. We're always working on the balance of the game because nothing is tied to real cash purchases ever. We have more freedom to balance things. Nobody's going to complain because you're not going to have a situation where somebody spent $400 to pull that one special card and then it got nerfed.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll talk about that a bit later because I remember when I played it last, that was one of the things that definitely attracted me to the game as well. Is it's completely free and there's none of that pay to win stuff. So yeah, no, that's good. So obviously I've just clicked continue. So obviously I've got play, decks, leaderboard, packs, and market. It's sort of I can imagine obviously what play, decks, and leaderboard would be, but in terms of packs and market, do you want to just quickly cover those off?
So throughout the game, as I've mentioned before, you can earn currency and you get it twice a week on a regular basis. Going to packs gives you the option to purchase an Enigma pack or a Paradox pack. One is a smaller, more basic pack that has more basic cards, and the other has 5 cards instead of 3 and a chance to pull S-rank cards, which are rare sort of powerhouse cards. That's that. So very much like a traditional TCG. Our market is completely player controlled. If you click on the market, you will actually find that you have a bunch of tabs with neutral, Jeddo, Joanne, and prisoner as categories, and all the different ranks of cards below that. You can select whatever category you want and check out the cards that other players have put on sale for whatever price they deem fit. Or you can also sell some of your cards, especially your doubles that you may not need. And I think that's pretty cool. Not a lot of card games are doing that these days because, again, they're motivated by trying to sell packs.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, I'm just sort of checking out the store here. It's pretty simple enough. And obviously I've gone and bought a couple of packs since I started with 1,000. Which is, yeah, that's really cool. I'm digging the art style. It's very nice. It's very vibrant and colourful. And it sort of seems to have, is there a specific theme you guys have sort of tried to capture? Because it looks like there's quite a few themes. Like your sort of background looks very steampunk. And then you have sort of like some futuristic looking characters. Then you've got some sort of characters that look like they're from sort of like Middle Earth. And then you've got some characters that look like they're from Knights of the Round Table. There's quite a mix match of sort of different styles there, which does complement the game quite well.
So we have sort of an amalgamated theme. The story behind the game, which we're actually probably going to have one of our artists start working on some intro animation for this, which should be quite lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, it's that you are in the far future, and it has been discovered that there's an ancient machine that has been hidden within the center of the Earth for many, many aeons without anybody knowing about it. This machine is incredibly powerful and has the capability to warp reality itself. Once this comes to light, a lot of powerful beings from other planets, from alternate dimensions, and so on, descend upon the Earth, and they're fighting for control over nodes that give them access to the machine. So having said that, we have a lot of different creatures from different sort of settings that are vying for control here, and this is why you see sort of a great range of stylistic differences. A lot of designs that look sort of medieval and some that look futuristic, and anywhere in between. Some very fantastic stuff going on here.
Excellent. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to probably play a game or two together, and you're going to sort of maybe talk me through the mechanics and maybe probably not make me look as bad as I am, yeah?
Sure.
Excellent. So I just click play, and then obviously I've got versus AI, versus player, and spectate. So I'm going to do versus player. And I create a new deck.
You still hear me okay?
Yep. No, I can hear you now. Yeah, you've come back. So I'm clicking versus player, and it comes up saying new deck.
Okay, do you have a deck available? Have you built a deck via the deck button previously?
No, I haven't. So I have to do that first, do I?
Let's do that real quick, and you can use the auto deck feature to very quickly assemble a competent deck out of whatever cards you've pulled in the beginning.
Okay, so if I just give my deck a name, which I'll just call this one Jeddo, and then I just click auto deck, is it?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice and easy. It's called it Fit Kids, though.
Well, that's something. Yeah, so it randomly generates a name out of basically two large pools of words.
Yep.
So that's hilarious.
Excellent. Let's call it Kids with a Z. There we go, and we'll save that.
Yep.
Okay,
Alrighty.
so now that I've done that, I just click back and then play versus player, and then select the. Oh, there we go. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. So you've also got like a Discord overlay came up.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to get people into our Discord so they can interact with our community more.
Oh, that's clever. That's good. So I see you obviously up there.
And there you are.
And there I am. So choose 2 cards to hide. Okay, so let me have a quick read through these. Okay, no, I don't want to hide that one. Let's hide that one and that one, and then click go.
Yeah, so for anybody here that's completely new to the game, what you want to do is try to hide cards that your opponent is going to be caught off guard by. You want to more or less be able to preserve some element of surprise in your hand. You play this game with most of your hand open, and turns do happen simultaneously, which means you have to plan your strategy very much around what your opponent is capable of at any given turn. So here we are.
Cool. So turn 1, waiting for opponent, so that's obviously yourself. Welcome to Fatal Core. Play a spell or a creature card to get started. Turns resolve simultaneously for both players. Use this to anticipate and thwart your opponent's strategy. Okay, cool. So let's do...
Now, yeah, essentially you can pick a creature, and depending on which lead character you have, you've got Jeddo, I've got Joanne, we're going to have different boards that have all sorts of different benefits to playing a card in them. Most of them will give some bonus or penalty to the card played in the slot, which is going to pretty heavily determine your strategy. If a creature is killed, it leaves a corpse behind, and that means you have to think carefully about which slots you want to open and what you want to put in them.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is, I think I will just play a card, and you can laugh at me if you want, but I think this is probably a good one to start with. So we'll start that. So is it your turn now?
Well, we're taking our turn simultaneously, and that's actually a very good choice. So both of our cards have dealt some hunt damage to each other.
Okay. So you have cast a spell. Spells are powerful one-time effects which resolve after creatures are played. Okay, cool.
We have a lot of little tooltips that kind of give a vague idea of how the game works.
Yeah. So hide or show drawn card. So it's a spell card.
You can do that once per game, so it's up to you to decide whether it's worth
I'm
hiding.
happy to show that one. Right.
So right now we still have an equal amount of HP because our creatures both have hunt. They're just trying to deal damage to each other rather than hitting the face. Creatures without hunt will attack the opponent automatically at the end of the turn.
Hmm. So this creature has resolve. Its determination allows it to gain a set of amount of HP each turn.
Okay, that that was interesting. So what happened during that turn is that my Zankuja High Priest's each turn ability did erase your creature, but you cast a spell which is going to end up covering a good part of my board in corpses after dealing me some damage. So now I have to think about how to get rid of those corpses, or I'm going to have a rough time with not being able to play too many more creatures during this game.
Okay, so in terms of cards that I played, would you said that was a relatively good card to play, or was it just unusual, interesting? What?
I would say that's a pretty good move. It
Cool.
does force me probably, because looking at my hand, I have 2 hidden cards right now, and I have an Enthralled Phantom. You can probably hazard a guess that I will play an Enthralled Phantom or some other card like that in order to make sure that my corpses are getting cleared out. And so you can now make an informed decision based on that as to what you want to play. A lot of this game is just being able to anticipate your opponent's best moves and seeing what you can do to block them or thwart them in some way from there.
Yeah. So you guys at the moment with Fatal Core, you're in alpha stages, is that correct?
I would say this is a really, really early beta. We're still lacking some stuff. We're hoping to implement combat animations over the next couple of weeks, which will actually show some effects when an each turn or end of turn ability is being triggered, and things of that nature, so it will be much easier to understand the action going on the board. Right now the game is looking a lot prettier overall and is fairly well balanced. Our testers so far are really enjoying it.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. And what would you say is the main difference between sort of like the other card games that are out there that people sort of play? So obviously I've played the likes of Hearthstone quite religiously, and obviously I don't know if you guys have played the Witcher, the Gwent card game.
Yeah. So I love design in general, and I've been playing TCGs for a very long time. It's a passion of mine. I like to dig in and dissect literally every game I can get my hands on. I would say in terms of mechanics, we do have a very interesting approach to balance. We don't have any kind of mana bar or mana dynamics. Some cards have slow, which means you can't play them prior to a certain turn, but other than that, you're mostly restricted by whether you expect your opponent may be able to counter your plays or not. It leads to very interesting and dynamic play. We have only 18 cards per deck. We have only 9 rounds per game, or 9 turns, which, as you can see, are actually pretty fast. So it makes for really brisk and exciting games that really give you a good feel of combat. They can sort of be decided at any time. Sometimes they're decided pretty early on, but more often than not, they're decided in somewhere in mid-game or late game. So it's a very much different dynamic. You're not going to slug at your opponent for 10 minutes only to have them pull out some utterly game-breaking combo at the last hour. That's not going to happen here. So we have a pretty different approach to balance. The fact that we have these 6 slotted boards that associate with every individual leader also means that there's a lot of strategic subtlety and depth in the game. Any card you have, however basic it is going to change a lot depending on which slot you play it in. And sometimes just the difference between a card having 1 more HP or 1 less HP is going to determine whether your opponent can efficiently take it down that turn or not. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. And of course we have big plans for the future in terms of introducing more cards and more different leaders so that even more strategies become available.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So turn 3, waiting on opponent. I don't know if you've played your card yet.
No, not yet. I was sort of
talking.
waiting. And
No worries.
so I think I'm going to go on and play the predictable but ever reliable Enthralled Phantom to try to clear my board of the corpses. And you are playing Tremor, which is going to do quite a bit.
Yep, so a creature killed by most means becomes a corpse. Soulless creatures or creatures erased by another card are an exception. It's important to have cards which remove corpses from valuable slots on your board. So these sort of prompts that come up after each round or play, shall we say, is that sort of like hints and tips for that people should obviously be aware of to sort of help them, coach them through the game?
And of course that goes away after you've seen them once, so it's just something to sort of replace a lengthy tutorial for those of us who don't want to look at a tutorial and want to jump into a game as soon as they can.
Oh, nice.
So right now I'm in a pretty good position because I have 2 creatures on the board, and they both have 3 power, so they're going to deal 3 damage to you at the end of every turn. And my objective is probably to try to keep control of the game as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. So you have called forth a creature. Creatures persist on your board until they are killed or erased. They will automatically attack your opponent at the end of each turn. Cool. Note that your creature's stats and abilities are modified by the slot in which it is played. Be careful not to play a creature in a slot with a HP penalty which exceeds its HP. Yeah.
What else can I do? And the creature you played did kill the creature I played that turn, so that worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah. I can see that I'm taking a massive hammer in here.
So you're managing to kill off my creatures little by little, but I am pretty far ahead at this point, unfortunately for you.
Yeah.
You have a couple of interesting options in terms of catching up.
Okay.
So, yeah, I do have a weakened creature in that Enthralled Phantom, and the Ashen Dancer is actually going to reduce the power of whichever creature it hits pretty dramatically. It is going to make one of my creatures soulless, but one of your creatures as well. It's probably a good trade-off for you ultimately, and it's either going to shave off 3 or 4 of the damage that you're taking every turn.
Okay.
So that might be your best option, but I can't see your best card.
Yeah, let's go for that one then.
Okay.
So, obviously we said earlier that we'd touch on the whole thing around free-to-play will always be free. So my understanding is the sort of development behind it and the continuation of the game is completely community-driven. A lot of the money that you guys receive via Patreon is put back into the game. Is that my understanding? Would that be correct?
Absolutely, and we want to make this as community-driven as possible, so it's not so much that people are going to contribute money and then not see where it goes. We want to be very transparent as to where the money goes for the development of this game, so it's players that will get to decide which features get implemented next. And all of our docs are available, so you get to see all of our ideas about game balance, about new features and all of that. We're very open and we're very much hoping to build a good community around this game.
Yeah, no, definitely. So a creature has been rendered soulless. It will become a blank slate, reverting to original stats and losing all abilities. It can no longer be buffed or debuffed. Cool.
Solus is one of our more interesting mechanics, and so there you go, you rendered my enthralled Phantom Solus. It no longer has 4 power, it has its original stats of 0-4, so that works out pretty well for you. But I'm still picking your creatures off as well. Mostly thanks to my Zankuja High Priest, which, due to its resolve and the buff I cast on it earlier, is getting pretty big and threatening. But now if you had some good way to remove it, for instance, Leeline Evocation, you would have a few turns.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I literally just cast him. There. Hey.
Yeah, that's an excellent play. Fortunately, it may be too late to catch up, but...
So when I'm looking at your cards, for example, the bottom left and the bottom right, which one is the health?
The first is the power, and the second one is the health. The left is the power, and the right is the health.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that looks like my best option for now. So your opponent has played a creature with Mana Magnet. It will absorb your next spell at the cost of its own life. Okay.
That's one of our more interesting mechanics, because spells are very pivotal and high impact in this game, but they can also be blocked by creatures with Mana Magnet. You have to watch the opponent's hand, and that gives you the ability to somewhat anticipate when something like that is coming down the line.
So, I have a card here called Mystic Pyre. Spell, erase target corpses on your board. Summon 3 cinders into random empty spaces on your board. So what are cinders?
Cinders are going to be creatures much like the one you have in your hand, actually. So they're 2/2 with end of turn, deal 1 damage to random opposing creature. That would actually be really nice, as it gets 6 damage on your board and picks away at my creatures, but unfortunately, because of all the soulless shenanigans going on in this game, as well as the Zankuja High Priest who just erases cards with low HP, you do not have a corpse to cast that on.
I got you. Okay. So, I think I'm going to have to go with... So, final card. Any tips for me?
Not really. Unfortunately, it happened that I'm pretty far ahead. I sort of started with an advantage early in the game and snowballed, and you did just play your creature on that slot that had a -3/-3 penalty due to Leeline Evocation, so it died instantly.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Got you.
Okay.
Excellent. Right, so
yeah, let's...
now that I'm a little bit more acquainted with it, let's give it another go.
Sure.
And you just click, and it says defeat, mend your wounds, plan your revenge, and and this is obviously the stuff that I unlocked, right?
Yeah.
So 1 PF and 85 EF, and then that's what I can use to purchase decks. Excellent. You feel a curious tingle in the back of your skull. The core is looking for a worthy master. Is it you? And then I'm presented with 3 cards, and it just says select a card. First match reward 1 of 5. So are these like trophies? Are they something I can get to keep and put into a deck?
Absolutely. So for the first 5 games, we give you a choice of some pretty staple cards, just to make sure that your collection is rounded out. And on the 5th game which you play, whether you win or lose, you will get an S rank card to pick from.
Oh, nice. Cool. So I guess the other question is now if I go back to the store and I go and maybe buy another couple of packs and I just put them through. Now if I go back to decks and I'm going to give it an icon really quickly. If I could do new deck and I do auto deck again, is this sort of like creating a... Does it always automatically try and create the best deck it possibly can for you?
Yes, it will prioritize the most stable cards for that lead character, so it generally does a pretty good job of building a good deck for you. But as always, you can tweak it yourself. You can take out a couple of cards that you don't like and put in a couple of cards that you feel are better suited or more synergetic.
Okay, cool. So if I, for example, I've opened those couple of packs, and then I've just done another auto deck and it's changed it, is that because I guess there's maybe some better cards that it's swapped out?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll use my new deck then. And there's the Discord thing again. That's pretty cool.
Okay, so I'll play with a different character. So this time, to make things a little bit more even, that was a pre-built deck that I sort of meticulously put together. I'm going to be playing a Prisoner 218 deck that I built with the auto deck feature that is aptly named Bleeding Castle. I kind of like that. So here we go. Let's see how this works out.
Cool.
The thing that you have to remember to watch out for is that I do have a mana magnet space, that space at the top left of my board that says MM instead of having any kind of stat modification. Anything that puts into that slot is going to be able to absorb a spell at the cost of its own life, as creatures with mana magnet can.
Mm-hmm. So I have drawn a card with slow. This card may not be played until the designated turn. Okay. So choose 2 cards. So, for example, this card here with slow is called the Lumbering Vindicator. Now, when it says that you can only sort of play this card when it's ready, is there a sort of, does it let me know that?
You will just see based on the turn indicator on that little middle bar where all the prompts come up. So if it says turn 3 or whatever that matches the correct number, that means you can play the card.
Okay.
So I took something of a risk there and used a spell called Spiteful Blow to try to deal a damage to your top row, but you did play a creature in your bottom row instead of your top. It forced you to redraw 2 cards as well, so...
Oh, right, yeah, I see, yeah. Yeah, see, so my whole thought process behind this one was I was kind of looking at the stats on the bottom, and they were quite, I guess that particular one where I placed it was a bit more favourable, so that was quite lucky, I guess. Cool. So in terms of the game itself, your sort of role within the sort of community, what part do you hold there?
I handle all of the design, so all of the cards you see, all of the abilities and stuff were written by me. All of this stuff was prototyped out on paper, essentially. I've worked on a couple of card games prior to this, and I've always been really interested in the design process, so I'm incorporating a lot of what I both liked and didn't like about the design process of previous card games that I have played and worked on and learned about. So you've actually made a really nice play there, because your Leeline Wolf is going to have Hunt and cause damage to creatures on my board. Your Expert Spell Thief is also going to cause damage to creatures on my board. I took a little bit of a gamble by putting a creature into that mana magnet space, and you were able to kill it quite handily. So now I have to try to figure out what I'm going to do to try to counteract all of this.
Cool. It's only from your expert guidance that I've been able to play a better second round.
Excellent.
So, beware, this creature has Hunt. It will attack one of your creatures at random, only attacking you directly if no creature is available. Okay.
You're actually in a very good position right now, having placed a lot of creatures with damage. Creatures on my board rather than just damage to me exclusively. You were able to sort of win that early game skirmish, and I think that I'm going to have a lot of trouble coming back from that, because these creatures also have mana magnet. They're very powerful, especially if you have both of them on the board. If I play a creature right now, it will almost certainly be killed. If I play a spell right now, I will kill one of your creatures, but the spell will be countered.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have a couple of interesting options, and I'm not sure what your hidden card would be, but the thing to do here would be to keep building on top of your advantage. You could try to play Haunt and force me to redraw a couple of cards. At the same time, you deal a little bit of damage to any slot I might try to occupy on my board, which your Spell Thieves will also do. So that's quite likely your best option.
So
maybe just lob it somewhere out there.
I figured Haunt would be my best card. It's the one I've been trying to, but for some reason it won't play. So it's basically saying erase a corpse on your board, which I do, and I click the corpse and it works, and it highlights. But then it says 4 targets, 3 enemy hand. But it doesn't let me seem to play the card.
So it has force or draw 2, which means you need to pick 2 cards in my hand that you want me to redraw now.
Ah, right, I see. Right, okay. And can they be your hidden cards as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I did to you at the start of the game, taking a risk, but it did not pay off for me just then. I should have probably waited until later to do that.
Okay, let's take those.
Okay.
Oh, Mind Crush looks good.
Thank you. still hear me?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just.
No problem. We're just having some weather, and I was wondering if I was having connection issues.
Oh no, you're all good. So I think I'm going to go with that one.
So now I'm in an interesting position because you've, by and large, ran out of high damage creatures. I may have a chance to try to mount a comeback here, but it's going to be difficult at best. So we'll see what I can do now. I'm 12 points of life behind, which is not a great position to be in turn 6. So now I have to sort of work to try to make sure that I can create an advantage for myself if I have any hope of winning the game. And your position is to try to anticipate how I might do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Nicely done. Yeah, so that was very good in that you anticipated play and caused me quite a bit of damage, and you're about to do that again.
So this creature has rage. Its HP will dwindle every turn, but power will increase proportionally. Okay.
Yeah. She has a hunt, which is quite powerful in this situation because she's going to be able to single-handedly take down even big creatures, but she will eventually die. You did a really good job of controlling your controlling the board and capitalizing on your early game advantage there, so I don't think I'm going to have any hope of winning at this point.
Thank you. Okay. We'll go with this one.
So I was able to kill your Siren, but now you have an Elemental Knight that also has Hunt, which means I'm going to continue having trouble against your creatures, and what's even worse is the fact that this is the last round. I have absolutely no hope of dealing that amount of damage to you. Good game.
Yeah, victorious. Well, that was pretty good. I liked that one. That was good. Probably because I won. But no, that's great. No, I like it. I'm probably, like I said, the last time I sort of played this was a good sort of 4 months ago, and I've kind of had a couple of games on and off beforehand. But I think now that I'm really into this, sort of like, I've had that opportunity to sort of talk with you and sort of explain it all to me. It's a little bit more engaging, I guess, for me, because beforehand I was kind of playing against AI, and obviously you've explained it a lot better than sort of like the little prompts and stuff, even though I think they're a great sort of addition to the game. And, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that probably won't delve into some of the instructions and read, and there's a lot of people that just want to kind of get into the game and do it. So I do like that, and I think that's a really nice touch. I like the fact as well that there's no money involved in it. You actually earn through playing, so I guess it's quite rewarding. For the more you play, the more you earn, and obviously you can get more cards from that. And I guess you become stronger as a result and more skilled. So that's also quite a good touch. So I mean, me personally, I'm happy to leave it there. I've obviously beat you, so I'm going to go away and revel in that, because if we play again and you win, I won't be able to say it's a draw. But no, it's great. Thank you very much for sort of taking the time to sort of play with me, and to obviously sort of I guess give the game a lot of context and background, because obviously I probably wouldn't have done it as well as you have. It's been great having you, being able to sort of do that for me. So I guess final words are, you're on Patreon, and that's obviously where people can obviously donate if they want to sort of help with, I guess, bringing the game, more new features and stuff, because like I said earlier, the money goes back into the game. You're also on Discord. You also have Twitter and Facebook. Do you want to sort of rattle those off for people? And then obviously I'll link them for you in the description.
Our Twitter is Fatal TCG, and our Patreon you can find by searching for the game name, and likewise with the Facebook. The most important part is that we do have that prompt for joining our Discord, and that is the best way right now to engage with our community, engage with with myself and the rest of the developers directly. Any kind of help that you might need with the game is available there. We're always willing to talk to you. There's always people available who want to play games. So if you're looking for live opponents, please join our Discord.
Yep. So I will link that for you in the description, and I've just got it on screen now so people can see obviously the Discord there, and there's obviously you've got a lot of people in there, so I'm sure there's always people that are willing to sort of play. And no, it's been very, very good. And obviously, like I said, I'll do your Patreon for you as well. That's also on the screen. So if you all guys want to go and check out Fatal Core TCG, links to that will be in the description. Thank you, Gellis, for sort of spending some time with me and talking me through the game. It's been really fun. We'll definitely be doing this again, I'm sure. But for now, obviously, this has been Aaron from Trial by Fire. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.